Board of County Commissioners now back in session. Mr.
All right,
Long.
Mr. Chairman, you know, the next thing on your agenda is the sheriff talking about a new inmate gain time policy. We're gonna defer that to the next meeting. And next on the agenda is your Board of Adjustment report. Ms. Amy Ham Kelly is over in East Point, so her minutes taker and her assistant, Ms. Sharon Stone, will be presenting the Board of Adjustment report. This is her first time, so you guys gotta go easy on her.
Go easy now, I hear you.
Okay, come forward, let's move on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, item number 1, recommended approval unanimous. Consideration of a request for a variance to construct a house 11 feet into the eastern side setback off Illinois Street on Lot 20, Block O, Unit 1, Lanark Beach, 2281 US Highway 98 East, Lanark Village, Franklin County, Florida. Request submitted by Robert Witten, applicant.
And the reason for the request, is there wetlands on the lot or something as to why he has to go into?
No, sir, if you'll view the screen, Mr. Chairman, that is a corner lot, and just as we have done routinely and throughout the county when we have setbacks on these corner lots, because the setback typically is 25 feet from the right-of-way of the road, but in this case, they've got 25 feet on Illinois Street and 25 feet from US Highway 98, and so board policy for the Board of Adjustment, also the County Commission, has routinely been to grant a variance from one of those setbacks. In this case, it's the 11 feet, I believe, on Illinois Street. So you'll still have a 14-foot buffer between the edge of the property and the edge of the right-of-way.
Pleasure of the board.
Mr. Chairman, since I went and talked to some of our staff, and last year there was a variance granted in that same area for a garage or shed. What was it, Sharon?
Carport, 23 feet.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to approve since it's already been done before. Motion to approve.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Massey. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? The motion carries.
Item number 2, recommended approval unanimous. Consideration of a request for a variance for Franklin County's minimum lot size 1 acre rule to 0.9 acres on property lying in Section 36, Township 7 South, Range 5 West, 1899, US Highway 98 West, Carabel, Franklin County, Florida. The variance is necessary to allow construction of a single-family dwelling due to the reduction in lot size caused by the construction of the Franklin County bicycle and pedestrian pathway on this parcel, thereby rendering this property less than the 1 acre requirement and would not allow the construction of a dwelling. Application submitted by Rodney and Robin Hilton, owners.
You have a comment?
No, Mr. Chairman, I was looking in the audience. I do not see a representative for the property owner, but I believe we have a neighbor here who wanted to.
Rodney.
Oh, I'm sorry, right, come on up. I was looking for Robin, sorry.
She has to go to the closing today.
Oh, congratulations. This is another circumstance in which we had the bike path fiasco, I guess is one way to phrase it. We have already granted a similar variance for another property owner with similar circumstances. So my recommendation is that the board grant this variance for the reasons stated, since the county is the cause of the need to go have a buildable lot less than your 1 acre rule, then we should grant the variance.
This is a bike path in front of the Carabel Beach and all?
Yes, so this is that area where the right-of-way was originally 100 feet, and then it narrowed down to a width less than 100 feet, and our engineer just did not catch that fact and ended up building the bike path along these two properties.
Pleasure of the board.
I make a motion to grant it.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion?
I've got one statement. I don't have a real big problem with it because we know the sidewalk and the situation with that. But also, he has land toward the water that adds to it too. You see what I'm saying? So I don't have no problem with this either.
We do
Yes,
have,
ma'am.
we do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 3, recommended approval unanimous. Consideration of a request to construct a riprap wall in the 50-foot setback and both 10 feet side setback on the north boundary of 538 River Road, Carabel, Franklin County, Florida. Request submitted by Davis Morgan applicant.
So moved.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Is that the conclusion?
That's conclusion.
Good job.
See, we didn't give her a heart attack.
We didn't give her a hard time.
No, or a heart attack.
You done good.
Next on the agenda will be Johnny Byrd, request to purchase county city parcel.
This is Mr.
handing
Byrd.
out some information from the property appraiser's office. I received this in reference to this.
Mr. Chairman, if I could have the floor before we proceed. As I had informed the board in writing previously, Mr. Byrd, in the past, had been a client of mine in an active matter. That matter is now concluded, so he is a former client. I've explained this matter to Mr. Byrd and explained to him that there's a conflict of interest for me to represent the board in this matter because he's just recently become a former client of mine and I'm currently representing you. However, given the nature of the conflict, I think it is waivable, and so I've asked Mr. Byrd to waive the conflict of interest on my part. I have given you a signed document during the break which indicates the disclosure of the conflict and the written waiver of that conflict by Mr. Byrd. However, I would also have to request from the county commission a written waiver of the conflict of interest. And again, in my professional opinion, this is a conflict which is waivable because the matter in which I was representing Mr. Byrd is completely unrelated to any matters concerning the county. His, I guess, petition before the board this morning originated before the city of Apalachicola, not Franklin County. The city of Apalachicola has sent him to the county with this request. And so with that being said, I think the conflict again is waivable and request board action to waive the conflict of interest. If you choose not to waive it, and if you need legal counsel, then you would have to get Mr. Theriak or someone to come down and act as substitute counsel. But that's at your discretion.
Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley. Do we have a second to waive the
Second.
conflict of interest? We have a second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners, and I will leave this written waiver of conflict with Mr. Morone. He'll have it signed after the meeting by the chairman.
Next on this, let's see, we still dealing with this. How do we proceed here?
Well, we have an agenda item for Mr. Byrd. I think what we should do initially is listen to Mr. Byrd's presentation to the board, and then I will weigh in with clarification as I think is necessary.
Mr. Byrd?
Good morning, Commissioners. I'd like to obtain this 15-foot that the county has. It has cost me and my family for years to pay for a buildable lot that we haven't, when I got home to build, I couldn't build on. I had to obtain some property from other place, in East Point, where I built that. Like I told her, I'm not interested in what we paid in the past. I just want to get it straight. Instead of get this 15-foot, then the county will be billing me correctly for a buildable lot because I've obtained the 35-foot that the Clark owned, which would give me a full lot. And I have agreed to go back and pay her back taxes on her property that she owns, so she's already made those agreements with me. So we're gonna take care, that's been taken care of. So actually I own both sides of it now, that you got the 15 feet in, my 15, and I've obtained the other 35. So I'm asking y'all to, like I said, she went back and readjusted this stuff because it was showing all three places there as buildable. My 50, the 15, and the 35. She couldn't adjust my taxes this year because I've already paid, because I didn't want my name in the paper. So I just want to get this straight, buy this 15 feet from you, And like she said, it's really not worth the 25, but if that's what it takes, we'll get it straight.
Chairman, if I.
Yes.
Mr. Byrd, this property is located where again?
It's located at, on Sixth Street, at the corner of Sixth Street, and I believe that's Avenue, right in front of the Methodist Church there.
Sixth and I.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, that is a platted 60 by 100 foot lot. That 60 by 100 foot lot was split for whatever reasons in the historical past into 3 different parcels. One parcel owned by Mr. Byrd, a second parcel owned by a third party that he's now obtained title to, and then the third parcel is that 15-foot strip that Franklin County deeded to the city of Apalachicola. When I prepared that deed conveying the property to the city, there was a reverter provision that said that if the city tried to sell it, then the property would revert to the ownership of Franklin County. So when Mr. Byrd went to the city of Apalachicola to buy the property, he was told of the reverter provision and that he would have to come to the county and have the county consider releasing the reverter so the city could sell the property. This board's action several months ago was that you were unwilling to release the reverter, but if the city would reconvey the property back to the board, that you may consider selling the property to Mr. Byrd pursuant to Florida law. What the law says in this case is the general rule of thumb, all public property must be publicly bid. That's the beginning point of any discussion when you sell public property. However, under 125.66, there is an exception to the general rule, which there's the exceptions broken down into 2 categories. The category that applies here is that when you have a piece of property which is less than $15,000 in value, and due to the configuration, size, and location of the parcel, it's essentially not buildable, then you have the right to effect what's known as a private sale to the adjacent owners. I'm not quite sure if adjacent just means abutting properties or the lots that are surrounding that 15-foot parcel. That's a question I have not yet looked into because y'all haven't directed me to really drill down into this issue. But you do have an opportunity if you choose to effect a private sale. But the first step, of course, the city of Apalachicola has to reconvey the property to you. That would be step 1. And then step 2 is if this board authorizes me to, then I will follow the statutory procedure and effect a private sale of the property. If no one else shows any interest in Mr. Byrd, then he's by statute allowed to purchase the property for the assessed value assessed by the property appraiser, which she informed me yesterday is $2,500. If someone else comes in and bids, then there's a further step where Mr. Byrd and whoever else is interested had to submit a private bid to the county, and the highest bidder wins. It's complicated, but I didn't write the law. I just have to understand what it means.
My first question was, has the city deeded this property back to the county?
No, sir, that would have to be step 1. They've indicated a willingness to do so, but they were, I think, wanting to hear back from the county, were we willing to go through the statutory process to effect a private sale?
And then we have to follow step 2.
And step 2 would be the private sale procedure. That's correct.
So you need a motion and a second and a vote of the board to proceed with that process?
Yes, sir, that is correct, if that is the will of the board.
Pleasure
I
of the
make
board.
I make a motion, we proceed with the process of getting it started. So Mr. Byrd can get it.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley to direct the attorney to begin the process. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? Any further discussion amongst the board members? We do have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carries to begin the process, Mr. Byrd.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next on the agenda would be RFQ, RFP, seal bid open.
Here we go. They bid it for that last time. Okay, so you have a series of you have 2 sealed sets of sealed bids to open, and then we have all the TDC RFQs to open this morning. Okay, so let's start with the sealed bids for the repairs to the Timber Island boat ramp and Indian Creek Park. They're both dock replacements.
We bid both of those at one time?
Yes, at one
Okay.
time. We're considering that one project so we could get better bids. We discussed that quite a few meetings ago, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So this one is from, and if you have any questions, we can check with Clay. There, if we have any questions, this one is submitted to us from, I'm gonna look just like Alan here, going through paperwork, looking for, it says here, R.J. Gorman Marine Construction. And Clay, I'm gonna ask a question here because it looks like, was the bid set up to do each of them individually? Okay, all right. So, from RJ, you have Indian Creek. I'll do that. Are there sheets set up that way? Okay. So, Indian Creek from RJ is $52,742.78. 52-74278.
Repeat that number again, please, sir.
Yes, sir. It's Indian Creek. Their base bid is 52-742-78 cents.
Okay, thank you.
And their Timber Island base bid is $38,088.05. 38-08805. And they sent a check, I guess, in lieu of a bond. And they are from, I know Commissioner Lockley's question is gonna be, I have a Panama City Beach address.
Panama City Beach?
Yeah, for them.
Now, it gives a bid amount total base bid for Timber Island and Indian Creek. I guess you total those two numbers, and that's your base bid.
Yeah, it is on here too. It's $90,830.83.
$90,830 and how many cents?
83.
83.
90-830-83.
What was their location, Michael?
Panama City. And the. Hands to Whitney. You're struggling with that also. The other is from the outside, H.D. Harders and Sons. They're from Panama City also. I'll do the same, I'll give them individually, and then we'll give you the total. Let's see here. So Indian Creek, base bid is $76,475, 76475. Timber Island base is $47,420, 47420, both with no cents. And total base, based on their number, is $123,895. 123,895. So I will need a motion to forward it to the engineers for review and to come back with a recommendation at your next meeting. Clay, next meeting is okay?
Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Lockley to forward this to the engineer and come back with recommendations at the next board meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
All right, so next we're going to go to the seal bids for Gulf Shore Boulevard relocation. If you remember, the last time there were some issues with the lowest bidder and their FDOT, some of their requirements from FDOT. So we're gonna go.
Do we know whether that got resolved or not? We're gonna find out.
Commissioner, guess what? Here we go.
Let's hope it got resolved.
Evidently it did, they rebid.
All righty, let's see. Bid submittal is page 5.
Let's find it.
And I'm sorry, I didn't check if HD had a bid bond or not. I
Bid
guess
bond?
Clay would check that and let me know.
Make sure both of them.
Okay, so Pygott Asphalt and Site Work LLC,
Pygott?
Pygott.
Stop chopping or metal.
They have Crawfordville here, I guess, commissioners, for address for notices. And it's one total base bid, Clay? That's it? Okay. So the total base bid, $158,933.50. So 158,933.50. And basis. Trying to see if I can find bidder certificate, if their bid bond is in here or not. Yes, the very back. And this is Robertson Roberts. Their base bid, total base bid is $187,009, no cents. So 187,009, and no cents, 00. And they have a Tallahassee address for notices, and they have their bid bond attached. Next, we have North Florida Construction. What I don't have in front of me is how many people bidded the last time versus this time. They have their Clarksville address for notification. Their base bid is $209,851, 209,851.
No cent.
New cents.
Bid bond.
And the bid bond looks like it's here attached, sir, to the very back also. Capital Asphalt is next. Their address here is also Tallahassee. And by the way, we are doing, probably not a little late for me to say that, but Gulf Shore Boulevard relocation. I hope I said that before. Good, just want to make sure. Again, their address is Tallahassee. Their bid is $196,564 even.
Boom. Bid it
And
bond.
Capital Asphalt, did they include their bid bond? It's to the back. Yes, sir, right here. North Florida Asphalt. Next, they have Tallahassee address. Pretty popular Tallahassee commission. Well, at least I'll get appointed. Yep, their bid bond is to the front of the packet, commissioners.
They ready, ain't
Mm-hmm. And their total base bid is $165,310. 165,310. I'm sorry, 165,310 even.
What's the name of the company again?
This is North Florida Asphalt.
Yeah, North Florida Construction and North Florida.
Yeah, I know, that kind of threw me there for a second.
Kinda confusing, ain't it?
Yeah, like I said, I'll get appointed spot there. M of Tallahassee.
Who?
M of Tallahassee.
Yeah.
They are
M
doing, which
Incorporated.
project for us right now?
That's Mr.
The sidewalk?
Huh? M
Sidewalk
Incor-
project? Yeah,
Yeah, M Incorporated.
M of Tallahassee. And just to show you, they have their address up here, they're also out of M of Tallahassee, duh. Their total base bid is $185,608.24. 185-608-24. And let's check for their bid bond, commissioners. It seems to the very end. Yep. Put in the FDOT letter.
Is there another one?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, we got a
Yeah,
nice
we're
one.
running out of slots
We're running
here.
out of spots, right.
C.W. Roberts, also the Tallahassee. I told you, all they get appointed is popular in Tallahassee. Okay, now I need Mark. Super duper bid. Don't look at me that way, I'm not allowed to play with scissors at home.
It's all good, man.
Let's look through their original. Their total base bid is $250,352 even. 250-352 even. C.W. Roberts and
They gonna put on some gold? Oh, that's
their
nice.
license. I'm hoping their bid should be, their bid bond should be in here. Yeah, there it is. Is that it, Whitney? Yep, that's it. for the-
Okay. I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we turn this over to the engineer for him to come back with a recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Jones. Turn it over to the engineer. Any further comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
So now we have the PDC. And so there's no, basically, I'll just tell you the name of the company, find out where they're from, and that's it. There's no money amount with this one. I'm going to open this one first because we're not sure.
What this is?
I'm sorry, sir?
This is for administrative services?
Well, no, this one is it came in a FedEx package and there's no label on the inside, so we don't know which one of the services they're bidding for. So if you don't mind, I'll take it out of order. I will go with this first.
Because you don't know what it is?
See what it is, and then from there we'll go through, I'll get the accompanying RFQs that goes with this service. If you
Okay.
follow me, if I don't know if I just totally
So we
confused
don't
you
know
or
what
not.
it
We
is.
don't know what it is.
All right, so this company is Full Moon Creative, and they are bidding for the local television airtime and video production for the county.
Video and tech.
Full Moon Creative.
Hang on, we're trying
Hold on,
to
hold on.
find,
Oh, I'm sorry.
we gotta find the right.
Oh, we gotta find the right sheet. I'm so sorry. So we're doing, let's stick with the local television airtime and video production for Franklin County.
Okay,
What,
video. Full
what they from?
Moon. And where they from?
They are from Sunrise, Florida.
Where that's at?
So, well, somebody smarter than me could tell me exactly where Sunrise is.
Full Moon.
Miami? Oh, close to Fort Lauderdale? See?
Huh?
So they're closer to Fort Lauderdale, Sunrise.
Okay.
All right?
No, it's on,
Oh, on the outside for the,
Well, now we know.
okay. So we're gonna stick with these? So these are the two for local television? Okay. So we're gonna stick with that category, okay? Oh, these scissors are not too sharp.
Michael, where's your pocket knife? Open that stuff
The
up.
sheriff was here. I'm not
It
allowed to
don't
have a
matter.
pocket knife. You know better than that. Mark actually has it in the back office, but that's
There you
okay,
go.
I'm good.
I'd be willing to bet there's some knives
Look,
up here. but
I was telling,
it's another story.
I was telling, Commissioner, I was whispering, Commissioner Jones, don't look at me funny, I'm not allowed to play with scissors at home, so much less a knife. So, all right, so, continuing with the local television and airtime and video production services, this is Designer at Large, yep, that's the name of the company. Designer at Large, they're from Tampa, Florida. 3908, hey, I know
Wait a
what
minute.
this is. I'm sorry?
Designer,
Designer at Large,
okay,
And they're from where?
Tampa, Florida,
Tampa.
South McDill Avenue. I know exactly where that is. I see somebody else from Tampa in the audience that knows where that is too.
okay.
Okay? And then we have
They wanna come with
the
E9?
third one for this group. And they are Forgotten Coast TV Incorporated.
And this is the video?
Okay, this is still, we're still on local television airtime, video production services. And they are from somewhere called Apalachicola, Florida.
I ain't never heard of them.
Yeah.
How you spell that?
That's a good one.
You know, I answer that question every day. No, I'm just-
Every day. Somebody asked me how to
Okay.
spell it.
So those are the three for local television, airtime, and video production services. Okay, so next, let's do.
Commissioners, just,
Do you need a motion for each one of these categories?
Commissioners, I was about to make a record, Mr. Chairman, if I could be recognized.
Yes.
The board has already taken action as to these four vendors, this is the TV and the print media and the web services. All of the all the RFQs, other than the administrator, will go back to the TDC for ranking or scoring and ranking, and then they will return to you, the number one ranked applicant, for your consideration. So I don't think that you need to have a motion for, because you've already made that decision.
Okay.
And then your decision that you've already made as to the administrative position is that they will also go back to, those RFQ submittals will go back to the TDC. They will rank the top three, and then those three will be sent back to you with no ranking, and then you would choose to interview all of those top three RFQ applicants for the admin position. So I don't think you have any motions, you just need to read those into the record, and then we'll move from there.
Cool. So next, we're gonna look for the sheet that says print media services.
Print media.
Anybody know the deputy?
Very back.
We good?
On the
Okay.
very back.
Very back page.
Print media services. We have, it looks like our friends from, God, if I could just get one out, gee. Designer at Large. They also sent in one for your print media services.
Where they from?
Tampa, Florida, same
Tampa.
group. Yes, sir. And the other submittal is Bay Media, and they're also from Apalachicola. So those are the two for print media. And guess who this is? Same package, the group from Tampa. But I just want to verify.
This is web services.
I'm sorry, we're shifting now to web services.
Well,
Web service.
Web services. Thank you, Commissioner.
No problem.
Oh, this is the same company?
It looks that way, I'll verify.
The
for
one
you.
from Tampa?
Yes, ma'am, I'll verify for you right now. The packaging looks the same, so I won't venture to say the color, being I'm legally colorblind of the folder.
Okay.
But, yes, Designer at Large. They also sent one in for RFQ. Same group from Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
why they trying to get down
And the other group, Web Services RFQ, from the outside, I can tell you it's 2K Web Group, Apalachicola, Florida.
there? TK Web?
Yep, 2K Web Group.
I heard of this.
Yep.
Okay.
And here's their pamphlet is here. Okay, wait, quick. Okay. Two more to go, huh? All right, now we're looking for local radio, online advertising. Just for the sake, open up the same package. Select designer at large again. Yes, it is, designer at large. Same group, Tampa, Florida. Still on local radio and online advertising, we have a group, Live Communications Incorporated. And I know you're gonna ask me where they're from, so let's open up one of these nice little packages. They're from Tallahassee, Live Communications Incorporated. Oh, that's WOCY, 106.5.
Here's the preacher man.
The third in that group is from Oyster Radio, WOYS. I won't even venture to open one of the packages. It's very well labeled on the outside. And those are the three for local radio and online advertising. And finally, you have your professional executive administrator services. And the first one is labeled on the outside. It is Forgotten Coast Management Services from here in Apalachicola.
Is that the full name?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. On the outside, a complete label. The Gmail address is there along with the manager, Miss Laura Graham. And the other one is D. Davis and Associates of Franklin County, LLC, and that is Deborah Davis.
Where they from?
They're from Franklin County also.
Oh, both
Let
of
me
them.
think about this here. Okay, Attorney Schuler, explain to me how the selection of the administrative contract is gonna work? You said something about those four going to TDC?
Well, all the RFQ submittals would go to the TDC.
Uh-huh.
The admin is treated in the following fashion. The TDC will review and rank, score the three applicants. However, when they return those three applicants back to the board, they will not have them ranked 1, 2, 3. They all come with no ranking, and then the county commission would then interview the applicants and then make a decision on whether they wanted one or any of the applicants to be the TDC administrator. The other four submittals for the print and the radio and so on and so forth would be reviewed by the TDC. They would be scored and ranked, and the number one applicant only would be returned to the county commission for action by the board. If the board accepts that, then we would enter into negotiations with the number one ranked applicant. If the number one ranked applicant is rejected for just cause, then we would move to the second ranked applicant. And if the board approved them, we would enter into negotiations with the number two ranked firm.
Well, you know, at last meeting, I asked how many people had applied for this administrative position, and the response was, well, nobody yet. I'm kind of disappointed that only 2 people applied for this.
I have a
Go ahead.
concern. Can I raise something, and
Go ahead.
Attorney Schuler stop me when I go too far? If I might be wrong, commissioners, but if I'm not mistaken, this is the current assistant to the TDC administrator. This is the assistant that was terminated at some point in the past. I would,
Mr. Chairman, if I could,
Yes.
listening to your comments, how does the board want to proceed? I mean, you had said that you wanted 3 applicants, and you were very specific in the number of applicants that you wanted to receive. So is the board interested in rejecting the 2 applicants and rebidding this, or do you want to modify your prior decision and move forward with the 2 applicants that you have? I don't want to get into any discussion, and I would advise you to disregard any discussion about who's applying. That doesn't matter. What decision you need to make is you have made a decision you wanted 3 applicants and you only have 2. So do you want to change your decision and consider these top 2, or do you want to reject it and rebid it and see if you can get 3 applicants? That's the decision I think the board needs to make.
That's the pleasure of the board. We need some comments from somebody.
Thinking.
Well,
I'm not gonna comment because I'm chairman of TDC.
yeah, we we asked for 3, right?
Yes, sir, you did.
According to the attorney.
Okay. If you didn't get 3, I said rebid it.
How long does it take to rebid it out?
You're probably looking at another 30 to 45 days. I think we can get it done between now and the end of the fiscal year.
Think we can get it done?
Yes, sir, I think so.
I'll make a motion for us to put it back out for 3 bids.
Second.
All right, let me clarify. The motion is to reject
Reject the bids we got and put it
the
out
2
for 3.
submittals for the TDC administration RFQs. We'll return those, but they haven't been opened, have they?
No, sir, they have not been
They will
opened.
be returned unopened to the applicants, and then we will re-advertise.
And they can resubmit.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can resubmit.
One thing about the motion is he's saying go for 3. We can't limit that number. We're just gonna
We can't,
re-advertise.
well, you can require a minimum of 3, but you can't make 3 people submit.
Or what if you have more than 3 is what I'm saying.
Then that's the reason the TDC is going to review and give you the top 3. If you get 10, then they're going to review all 10. They'll make a decision on who the top 3 is. Those top 3 will be sent to you as a board on a level playing field. You will then interview those 3 and make a decision whether you want one or any of those 3 to be your administrator. for
So
TDC.
correctly, we should reject any and all bids, and the motion should also include re-advertising.
That's correct. I believe that
Yeah,
was the amended motion.
We had a motion. Who made the second? Did anybody make a second on that?
I did.
Okay,
Commissioner
Commissioner Lockley. We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion?
Yeah. Now, I see it like this, if it come back and we don't have but 2, the next time we just go for what we go from there.
Okay.
I mean, because
Go ahead.
we did ask for 3, we didn't get them, so I think we should go back and ask for 3 again. If we don't get them next time, we get 2,
Consider the 2
consider the 2.
Well,
Yeah.
you don't have to make that decision, as I had said this morning. I mean, you could modify your decision this morning, but you had said you wanted 3, a minimum of 3 to look at, so that would be a valid basis to reject all bids and re-advertise. So my recommendation would be let the motion stand as it is to reject all bids, direct re-advertising, leave the minimum of the top 3 submittals to be returned to you after review by the TDC, and let's see what the facts hold at that future period of time, and then the board can make a decision based on an actual set of facts.
I'd like
That'd be
to
my
ask a question,
recommendation.
Mr. Chairman. What, just in the meantime, so we're all clear, we know what's going on, what is if it takes till November or December, what are we doing until then? Just keeping it the way it is? Moving Mr. Blair to a month by month? I mean, what's the plan going
That would
forward?
be my
Well,
recommendation.
I think was Commissioner Massey's direction, was to have this process completed before the end of the fiscal year, and I think we can do that. If for whatever reason something happens and we need to start making contingency plans, my recommendation would be to have Mr. Morone already enter into discussions with your current administrator to see if he will go another month to month till we can get this resolved. I'm not anticipating that to be necessary, but that's a very good point, Commissioner Jones, and we should be planning for the future.
I think it's important enough that we should do what we're doing this morning, and ask for at least 3 applicants.
We do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
Yes, sir.
Next on the agenda, that's it for that, right? Next on the agenda, is the final public hearing for CDBG 2017 application. Ms. Deborah Belcher, please come forward, state your name for the record.
Deborah Belcher, Romelis Planning and Development Services. The county is in the process of applying for a competitive Florida Small Cities Community Development Block Grant in the amount of $700,000. And the applications are due August 13th, 2018. And the board selected the housing category for this grant. This is to provide housing rehabilitation or replacement for income-eligible homeowners of single-family homes. And that's what the program is about. And so we've already had one public hearing, after which the board selected the housing category. At this point, I can just tell you that the board already has an existing policy, which would be in effect for this, although we can modify it to address the needs of this emergency. And so that is about really all I need to tell the audience, but it is a public hearing, so we would need to take comment.
Public comment on our CDBG grant application. This is a public comment, a public hearing. Anyone has public comment, please come forward, state your name for the record. That includes everyone that's in the building. If they would like to make public comment on this CDBG grant application, please come forward. Let the record show that we have no public comment.
Mr. Chairman, you had wanted the board to consider a motion earlier in the meeting that Ms. Belcher
Right.
wanted you to defer until this time, so.
Yeah. So one of the things that, the policy that you have right now addresses the things that DEO requires that you have in the policy. And I do not see that it would be a conflict for the board to direct that this money go exclusively to the East Point fire zone that you've declared in your emergency ordinance.
And that was asked of us from the state agencies yesterday in the meeting that we had, that Franklin County come up with some way to contribute. Of course, these are state funds, but it is primarily for assisting people to get out of substandard housing, for lack of a better word. Whether you're rebuilding a mobile home or I mean, that's what we done last year. In this particular year, we do have an overriding circumstance here and the state asked, what could Franklin County do? Could these funds be allocated for that? And of course, it's totally up to this board. I said I thought we could, but that has to be ratified and done by motion and a second of this board. And that's what we're asking for here this morning. Pleasure of the board.
Mr. Chairman, I want to make a motion to approve that, but I also would like to communicate with Ms. Belcher. Being in on some of the meetings last week with the governor, either by conference or by him directly being there, I know there's not going to be a declarative disaster or state of emergency, but he has said more than once that if there was any roadblock to funds being obtained, like we were talking about earlier with the 900,000 plus, or the number you mentioned with this other grant, that he would do an executive order if possible. I would like to communicate that to you because that was said to me more than once, either live in person or on the phone. So I just want to communicate that to you as well.
Okay.
How many, how many trailers we talking about?
Well, I've been sitting here in the audience scheming some things, as well as I was doing this also last week, just some ideas. If in a normal grant, okay, we would commit a minimum of 10 homes. And that's what we will put in this application is the minimum commitment to get the top score. But, commitments of minimums can be exceeded. So at a minimum, we would have to rehabilitate or replace 10 homes according to CDBG standards. So we could promise that. Now, For example, if there's portable classrooms or something like that, or something gets moved in and we can save substantially on that, we could stretch that farther. Another thought I've had is for people who have some creditability, we could offer a chunk of money and say, this is an amount that we will contribute if you can put more in. In other words, we don't have to decide that today. None of that has to be decided today. But these are some options, like if we say, hey, we're gonna offer $25,000 a pop. If I waived out $5,000 of my fee, we round it off to an even number, 25,000 would be 24 homes.
Well, look at, them portable classrooms, they don't be partitioned off.
Right, and that was one of the things I was sitting here thinking, all right, so that's why I'm coming up with the figure of about, it actually be probably a little more than 25, but, somewhere in that vicinity.
You
If-
got volunteers to partition them off?
Now, no, that's coming into my and again, this is just based on something Joe showed me. This is
I
not,
don't
this is,
know, Joe
this
said.
is, we're in the thinking stage.
Okay.
Joe said we talking to you.
Ms. Belcher, let me state this, and it's been, I've said it many times sitting here. I don't know about the allocation. What I don't want to do is take this money and help 4 people.
Right.
4 people. I don't want to do that. Whether that number is, and we'll see when we get down the line, and of course the board comes back to this board, and this board creates policy. But I don't want to help 4 people when you got all these people that need help.
Right.
So it may come to a number, we can give you $5,000 as down payment assistance. I mean, I don't know what that number is, but I don't want the board to sit here and say, we're gonna buy a new home and only 4 people's gonna benefit. Do you know what kind of
Yes, sir.
storm that's gonna create for this board?
Yes, sir.
I want to treat people fairly and equitably. I always have. I've said it many times sitting here. You can't help one person and tell the other 30 they don't get no help. So just moving forward, I just want to make a motion that this money could be used to help these victims of that fire. And how we do that, in cooperation with the state agencies, with the GoFundMe page, with the EOC money, how all that works out, I don't know yet. The only thing I wanted to hear this morning was a motion and a second from the board, if the board is desirable to apply this money to help these people. That's all I wanted
And
to
it
do
would
this
be, and it
morning.
would be to the homeowners, not accessories, as far as this money.
I agree with that. We're trying to put
Yeah.
a roof over these people's heads.
I don't mind making the motion, Chairman, to do it, but I'm like you, I want it to go as far as it can go. So
Right, and it's gonna make Ms. Belcher's job a little harder as an administrator. And as I said this morning, I still want Ms. Belcher to work with the state agencies, to work with all these organizations, and let's try to treat people fairly and do the best we can. Our local government is not going to be able to deliver everything. We're going to be able to help to assist the people. We're gonna make sure they got clothes on their back by the generosity of the community. They got some food to eat. We wanna try to get them some kind of temporary shelter, and then we move forward with the long-term goal. But I'd like to help as many people myself, and I think Commissioner Massey just said the same. I don't wanna go out there like we did last year and buy 4 or 5 homes.
Well,
and
we
the
did
rest of
10
these people
total, we did
suffer.
10 total.
We're gonna do a minimum of 10?
No, we did 10 on the last
Okay,
one
yeah.
We got
also.
things now, we can break it down and do 20 or 15 on the amount of money we get. If we get the same amount of money in some places, we can work and put more things
Yeah.
in.
Now, this would require DEO, though, to, as it is right now, to get our score, we're promising that we're going to use green standards, codes, things like that. That's what it takes to get your points. And that's 75 points in the score. So we'll see how our score comes in and see how we have to tweak that to keep the money. So some of that, we'll have to see how we show up in the ranking, and that will drive a little bit of the decisions.
And in all honesty, this money could be used as matching money for another grant to increase the total amount of money that we're going to receive at some point.
And
With all the state agencies working with us, with the governor working with us, with everybody coordinating and working together. So this morning, I just wanted Go ahead, Commissioner Sanders.
Just put a little more bait on your hook.
Well, and speaking of the match, now, we talked about putting $50,000 of SHIP funds in. We did that last time, we ended up pulling it out because we didn't have to have it. But we need to put that in for points, and also DEO has a new position that if you pledge leverage, you're gonna spend leverage, even if your budget comes in, project comes
Okay.
in under budget.
I understand
But,
what you're
and
saying.
Lori Schweitzer was on the Citizen Advisory Task Force, and she is, supporting that also.
And that's fine, and that, if we have to use, we need all the money that we can get, and work with these state agencies and the different organizations I've mentioned. We do have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones.
I
and
did
we
want
do-
to say something before
Okay.
we vote. I think we're headed in the right direction with this. I agree with Commissioner Jones. We need to stay on top of the governor's office about the executive order.
That's right.
But at the same time, we need to be realistic and practical about this. We will never, ever, no matter what we do, be able to put these people back whole again. And for that, I'm sad, because I know we can't do it. But maybe we can make their lives a little bit better than what's happened. And my heart just goes out to these people. But yeah, I think we're on the right road, Commissioner Parrish.
We do have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Massey, that we move forward with this application process, which is what we're doing here today, but we're expanding into other scopes that probably shouldn't be part of this public hearing, but I think, again, we're all moving in the right direction. Any further comments?
Yeah, I wanna make sure the money be spent on the people and not on all different.
100% of it.
100% be
Yep.
spent on the people, no administration and all that stuff.
Yeah, this money, this particular grant will have to be used in this fashion.
No admin,
Ma'am,
no administration?
I know you get yours. I'm
Oh,
talking
okay. I was gonna say,
Talking about other
you have
stuff.
no
I'm
idea.
talking about.
Talking about other
you
stuff.
grant
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
We dealing with you, this your job.
Okay, I
I'm
got
talking
you.
about
Right.
after you get paid, nobody here.
Yeah.
this has a process that has to go through,
Yeah.
and it's gonna make your job harder, because it's not gonna be 10 houses or 11, it's gonna be a bunch of people, and I wanna be treated equitably and fairly, and however we can do that, if it takes, if the governor can create some waivers as to how we can use this money, as long as it's going for housing to help these people, and I think he will do that. We do have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries.
Okay, and then we have the resolution, that's in the agenda packet, right?
Yes.
Okay, and that needs to be adopted. And what that does is it commits the $50,000 in SHIP funds and authorizes a submission and finds it consistent with the local comprehensive plan.
Pleasure of the
Okay,
board.
can I ask
Mhm.
something? Now, like the last time you didn't use it, now this time, when we put it in there, will it go back to SHIP, or you gonna keep it with you, or what?
Well, like I was
Or
saying,
y'all gonna
the
use the
EEO's
SHIP money
position now is if you commit leverage, they're gonna make you spend it. So the 50,000 from the SHIP program would go in this fire zone toward
Okay.
either rehab or replacement.
I ain't got no problem with it, I just was trying to
Right.
make sure.
According to the change of rules, if she commits that as leverage to get points on this grant, then she has to use that money.
Okay,
You can't go back to SHIP.
Like what you and I were talking yesterday, that it's even less money to operation within SHIP.
Yeah, and they were on us yesterday about committing SHIP dollars, and we talked about that this morning, but this is one thing that we have to leverage to help get this grant. So there's some monies we may be able to use for SHIP, but then there's a lot of people that's been waiting for years on that SHIP program, and Ms. Morone made that very clear yesterday in that meeting, and I supported that, because some of these people have been waiting for years, and we want to try to help them people too. Another thing is CDBG grant monies can't be used in a municipality, and we committed to
Right.
Commissioner Lockley and Commissioner Massey that they could use some of this money within the city limits. So we can't just throw all that money to the fire, but there may be some monies in SHIP that we can commit to that.
And Lori Schweitzer said that it would fit with, what she has.
and see, I'm gonna say something, and I ain't saying it, don't get me wrong, what I say, don't take it in the wrong context, but we got a disaster here with the fire. But we also had a disaster before the fire happened with the ship. So that's what I'm talking about. And
Some
I-
of these
I ain't
people
trying to
are in
take
no
none
worse
from
shape than
nobody.
some of the other people in the county, and we understand that.
Yeah.
Well, and to, Mr. Chairman, the SHIP funds, only 20% can be used for mobile homes anyway. So we're already taking out 50, so that would only allow another 20 without some kind of declaration from the governor anyway. So that kind of caps that. Is that correct, Ms. Belcher? 20%. isn't it?
That's the normal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's like me and Miss Sanders here. We got a couple we've been trying to help with you, and it hadn't worked. If another year, they'll be out.
The house will be gone.
They'll be gone. It's gone. They have nowhere to live. It wasn't cause of the fire, just cause it hadn't had no work done to it.
Right.
They're not able to fix it. And I'd say if a year makes it, it'd be lucky.
We need a motion on this resolution.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones to approve this CDBG grant resolution, second by Commissioner Massey. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries. Is that all you need from us this
That's
morning, Ms.
all
Belcher?
for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in and look forward to continue working with you.
Thanks, sir.
Next on the agenda is Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Y'all have had so many more important things to deal with this morning. I'll try to keep my report short. I do need action, and if you don't do it this meeting, you can do it next meeting, but I need, relative to the Value Adjustment Board, I need to have 2 county commissioners appointed to serve on that, and a citizen member who owns homestead property. And last year, Mr. Donnie Gay served, and he has graciously agreed to serve again if the board so desires.
Pleasure of the board on this citizen member.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Massey, to nominate Mr. Donnie Gay as a citizen member. All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries. Now is the issue of 2 county commissioners must be appointed.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion for Vice Chairman Noah Lockley and Commissioner Massey to serve on this board.
Mr. Massey, you accept your appointment?
Yeah, I've been on it.
Okay.
I can't be on it.
Okay.
I take it. I ain't got no problem.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to appoint Mr. Commissioner Lockley, Commissioner Massey to the Value Adjustment Board.
Give me the date, please.
Do we have a
You're wrong,
second?
Ricky.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sanders.
I can make a second, but I can't be on it.
Second by Commissioner Sanders. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
I need the dates.
I've been on it.
All those,
I'm still on
all
it.
those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. And the dates for the workshop for the Value Adjustment Board is?
We actually don't have dates
That's
set
something.
yet. This is
Okay.
the first step. I don't anticipate we're gonna have maybe one day.
We had one last year, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
last year was just one day.
Yeah,
One day left.
one organizational meeting and then maybe one day of hearings if we
So they
have.
will notify you and Commissioner Massey when the time is right?
Yes, and
when-
Lori
when-
handles that in my office too, so she'll
Lori will take
be
care
in
of
touch
that.
with
She's
y'all.
good at it.
Yeah, we
I've
only
been
had
on it.
one last year, I think.
I done it before.
Yeah, I don't anticipate getting a lot, you never know, but I
Yeah.
don't think we will.
I don't
My other
mind.
2 items were just information, just a reminder of your budget workshops on Thursday and Friday, the 19th and 20th of this month at 9 o'clock each day. And then the county's audit was just completed Friday, and we have posted on the county's website already. And we can provide anybody written copies if you need them, I think. Michael, did we turn them into your office yet, or county audit?
No, not yet.
No, okay, we have it then. So-
Any questions from the board for the clerk?
For the clerk, did you see any deficiencies, looking over it or anything? Did you see any deficiencies in it?
I really hadn't had a chance to look
Okay.
at it with everything going on. I don't know of anything. Nothing's been mentioned
Well,
to
if you
me,
do,
so-
can you bring it to us like you did last year? Because that really helped us not,
Sure.
we didn't know those items, and then that way we were aware of it and was able to take care of
I'd
it.
be glad to.
Thank you,
All
Madam
right,
Clerk.
anything else for me?
Any other comments from the board, Madam Clerk?
I've got one mistake. Madam Clerk, I know you came off this past week as president of the Clerks Association, but I want to thank you for all your hard work that you did. I know it's a lot of work to do, and I'm so proud that we were able to have a clerk to be president of the Clerks Association.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that. Thank
No
you.
further questions? Thank you. Next on the agenda would be Ms. Whitney Barfield, in place of Mr. Alan Pierce,
Oh,
Restore Coordinator.
she does look better, don't she?
I'm sure.
Let's just say different.
I'd say better.
Okay.
All right, this is Alan's report. Number one, inform the board that FEMA has contacted Alan to say that the FEMA analyst who had been working on the Alligator project and who had reduced the proposed funding from 3.2 million down to 2.1 million has been replaced with another analyst. Mr. Will Kendrick with Congressman Dunn's office was instrumental in getting FEMA to revisit the project. We are waiting to see what the new FEMA analyst proposes.
Real quick, could you get a little closer to the mic?
Oh,
There you go.
do I need to repeat?
No, you fine.
All right. Number two, Alan met with Mr. David Pappin, C.D. Maguire, on Tuesday, June 26th on Alligator Point to review the projects that are still in FEMA system. C.D. Maguire is the firm selected by the county on the recommendation of Ms. Brunel to handle FEMA recovery projects. The meeting went very well, and Mr. Pappin thought it would be a relatively simple process for C.D. Maguire to handle the reimbursements requests and to close out the projects on Alligator Point. Mr. Pappin is currently handling projects for Jackson County, so he is in the area on a regular basis. Alan is waiting for a proposal from Mr. Pappin that he can bring to the board. And then that was, the third one was for the opening of the bids. So we've already done that.
Okay. Any comments from Ms. Whitney? Thank you.
All right.
Done a good job.
Next on the agenda, hang on, we got to get to the back of the agenda.
On the back page, sir.
Mr. Michael Roan, County Coordinator Report.
All right. Hey, you know what? Usually we do this stuff like this to the end, but I'm gonna do this now. Now, Commissioner Sanders, unfortunately, we weren't able to travel and participate as much at the FAC conference, but I know it was your final conference. And I know you got some awards. And rather than me try to go through some list that FAC sent me in an email, I would prefer that you would, if emotions could hold up, if you could tell us some of the awards you got.
Emotionally hold up.
Yeah,
If y'all don't know this is hard for me.
I know it is, Commissioner. But if you'd like me to, I'll read a report and then we can get to it later. But, you know, I just thought it was important enough that we bring this up, especially that Lifetime Award. That's the one I think is most important.
Take your time.
I know it, Mr. No, I can't help it.
All right, Commissioner, I'll read, and when you're ready, you just interrupt me, just blur it out. I'll stop reading, okay?
I hate to cry, but I can't help it.
No, it's okay, I just want to make sure everybody knows. All right, item number one, Commissioners, at your June 19th meeting, the board authorized the chairman's signature on the FWC contract grant agreement to remove 2 derelict vessels, one in the Apalachicola River and the other in Tucker Creek. Today, board action is needed to authorize the chairman's signature on the agreement with Morgan Marine Salvage and Recovery LLC, who will be removing the vessels. They're the contractor that's removing the vessels.
Pleasure of the board.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Massey. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
We did item number 2, I'll move on straight to item number 3. Remind the board that the budget workshops are scheduled for July 19th and July 20th, as your clerk just told you. Will the board require the attendance of the non-governmental agencies or set their next year budget at the current level of funding? It's a question we
Pleasure of
ask
the board.
every year, I'm sorry.
Well, we've had a couple of years that, you know, I said last year, just let it stay at current funding, and then somebody wanted some of the NGOs to be there.
Mhm.
So I would say have them here,
Okay,
wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
all right, works for me. Item number 4, also related to the budget. As discussed at your previous meeting, the sheriff's budget had a large increase in capital outlay, which was mostly due to repairs and upgrades to the jail and the outbuildings. It was suggested at the meeting that those projects be removed from the sheriff's budget since they are one-time expenditures and be part of a separate prioritized, say that right, Michael, request to the board for funding over the next few years. Would the board consider action directing me to remove those items from the sheriff budget and then meet with the sheriff to create that list? I talked to the sheriff about this morning, and he's in total agreement that that's the way he would like it handled. And we actually have two items we talked about this morning, which will be, number one, all y'all basically told me that the control panel that controls the doors to dispatch, that's number one. He told me this morning, during the emergency, the whole entire phone system failed.
The
So
911.
to me, I could tell you, that's the two things we're gonna be looking at. But I just want board action, you guys actually directing me to do this, remove those items and create this list in
I'll
priority.
make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Jones. Real quickly, there's some federal help to help replace this 911 system and the control.
Good.
Senator's office called me during the fire and said there wasn't a whole lot they could help us with the fire, but there were some subsequent things that they can help us with. I made the sheriff aware of that.
Okay.
There's some grants out there to help replace some of this stuff, federal grants.
Mm-hmm.
So as we move forward and start prioritizing, Mike, I want you to keep that in mind, and I've already informed the sheriff of that.
Chairman, it needs,
Hang on,
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
Madam Clerk.
I was just gonna say, really capital expenses, because this is county building, the jail's a
Right.
county building. So really, it should be separate and not included in,
Right.
his budget.
Right.
Mr. Massey?
I just know it needs fixed. I'm on the fire department in Carabel. When they send out a message like they did a couple days ago, it goes through and it just stops. You don't hear nothing. They have to recall it back a couple times to get it to come out. And by that time, if the fire had done been 30 minutes in, 25, 30, then people's grumbling and griping because you're not there. Because it died twice during the response.
So do we have a motion to
Was there a motion?
remove this, or do we need a motion? We still need a
I
motion.
made a motion.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
what I
I
thought.
sure did.
I made a
We had a
motion.
motion, do we have a second? We did have a second?
I think that's very smart for us to do that, because it's like you said at the last meeting, Mr. Chairman, you said we may not be able to do everything that first year, but we can do, a little bit.
And then we're finding
Yeah.
out there's some grants out there to help us with
Yeah.
some of it.
Do some research. Yes, sir.
Right, well, we do have a motion and a second on the floor.
Uh-huh.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. Item number 5, board action to authorize travel and expenses to allow Ms. Whitney Barfield, the county's Assistant Grant Manager, to attend the Florida Rural Economic Development Summit from October 24th to the 26th. The board appointed Ms. Barfield as the county's point of contact for Opportunity Florida. Ms. Susan Estes of Opportunity Florida recommends that Ms. Barfield attends this summit.
Pleasure of the
Motion
board.
So moved. Second.
We got two so moves and 2 seconds. So I
You
guess
gonna
we
say
have
you
a
a waiter,
motion.
they don't want you in the county.
We have a motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries.
Item number 6, inform the board staff received a letter from the Department of Economic Opportunity informing us that the Census Tract 9702 has been certified as the county's Opportunity Zone. If you recall, DEO was going to certify Census Tract 9701, which covered the eastern end of the county, but at your May 15th meeting, the board requested that DEO consider Census Tract 9702, which covers the central portion of the county. Based on this letter, that has been done. DOE is suggesting that a staff member is listed as the point of contact for investment opportunities. I recommend Ms. Barfield, as she is currently a point of contact for Opportunity Florida.
Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries.
On the board, that the chairman received a letter of thanks for his time and words at the Riparian County Stakeholder Coalition March Conference. The RCSC hopes that Franklin County will continue to support the efforts of the 6 riparian counties to restore the Apalachicola River and Bay this upcoming year.
Now, Michael, have they put in a request in our budget for
I
for
will
this allocation?
I will double check with Aaron. They usually send out as a separate, like an invoice style
Okay,
thing.
okay.
But I'll double check.
Just checking, to
Yeah.
make sure they have done that or haven't.
Okay, let me write that down, check for
Okay.
invoice. Okay. One thing I am giving to the board, the clerk, I'm sorry, I just wanted to mention, this was the audit for the tax collector's office from Robertson. I'm gonna hand it to the official wanting paper, I'm handing it over to the clerk. But I
What's
need
that
it
on?
The.
Tax collector audit.
Tax.
That's
Okay.
official, enter that into official record.
Chairman, can I speak about, our commissioners' awards?
Yes.
Cheryl's always been very gracious to bring up things that happen with the Clerks Association, and I stay up with the FAC Association that you all attend or are members of and get your training with also. And I know that Cheryl has been a member of the Small County Coalition since I was elected, because the first time I ever actually went to the legislature, I went up there with Cheryl to the FAC conference in Tallahassee, which, I mean, it was an experience, let me tell you. But we also went to a Small County Coalition meeting back then, and that was probably in 2005.
2002.
Well, I wasn't clerk then,
But I've been on there
but
since
you've been there since 2002. I
On
knew you were
all of
there since before I was clerk in 2004. But I understand Cheryl won a Lifetime Achievement Award and a Leadership Award, and she's been on the executive committee as a member of the Northern Gulf region of the FAC Small County Coalition since 2002.
2002.
So I know all the board members want to thank her too, but I just wanted to say how proud I am, and my office has followed you all these years, and you've always been so helpful to us with everything you do, and we're gonna miss you as a commissioner, and all these things that you sat on, how important they were to the county, and we know that.
Well, and Mr. Chairman, if you'll allow me just a minute. I have, Marcia, thank you so much. It's hard for me to say, I'm a humble person. It's not about me, it's about the people. And when I came on board in 1998, we had an opportunity to join these associations. And I saw that at that time. Did you know that nobody in 1998 knew where Franklin County was or knew who Franklin County was? But over the years, we have made sure that they did. And this past week was just the example of it. When we got down there to the conference down there, counties on top of counties came to us, said, how can we help your East Point? How can we help your little town? Miami-Dade, Palm Beach is sending some stuff out. Leon County is sending some stuff out. Gadsden, Gulf, Wakulla. I mean, it's all about Florida. It's all about we represent the people of the state of Florida. When one of us hurt, we all hurt. And I have to say that I was quite taken back at achieving and getting the Lifetime Membership and Achievement Award, because I know of only one person in my 20 years that has gotten it. So that to me is an honor. But more so, it's just the pure opportunity to be able to serve the people of Franklin County on these on these committees, and to be able to bring our thoughts, our problems to the boards and help them figure it out. I sat on the curriculum committee for Florida Counties Foundation since 2002 also. And that was because I felt the need for more education for the commissioners, because when you come on board, it's like Mr. Noah said at his first meeting with Small County Coalition. Mr. Noah, you remember what you said? You said, I thought I knew everything, and I found out I didn't know nothing.
That's right.
He found out he didn't know nothing. So that's what it's all about. And if I have helped make somebody's life a little bit better, because it's just like I got to say two things. The other morning when they allowed me to speak at the Small County Coalition, and you got to know, you're usually not allowed to speak at the Small County Coalition, but they did recognize me and gave me a standing ovation and all. I said, I can't believe that 20 years have gone by so fast. And I said, I want you all to understand that you will always be in my heart and my thoughts, because this is a hard job. This is a hard job. It's a heartbreaking job sometimes, just like this past week when Commissioner Jones stayed here to help out with the fire victims and stuff. It tugs at your heart. You know why? because we're family. But I told him, I said, it's hard to realize that I've got 20 years, I'm fixing to retire. I said, I feel like a 20-year-old girl, a 29-year-old girl in a 63-year-old woman's body. And I said, it's hard for me to realize that. And see, that's the thing I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with leaving this board. And I wouldn't be leaving this board today if I didn't think I was leaving it in good hands. We've got a good group of commissioners in here. And it's like I told the Small County Coalition and the Florida Association of Counties, we got the best board of county commissioners in the whole state of Florida. And I believe it.
Cheryl, you set a good example, and, you know, it is hard to be from a small county and be involved, but this day and time, and I know all the commissioners up here understand, you do have to be more involved in what's going on.
You do.
And people say, you know, our commissioners, they have 2 meetings a month.
They don't.
Well, you know, and I say, I'm sure commissioners get more telephone calls than even I do as clerk, because, you know, people are calling y'all all during the day and night for whatever's happening. Constitutionals, we don't all get that. I appreciate what commissioners do. You set a good example for this board, and I think they're gonna look to you, and they're gonna start getting even more involved than they are.
Well,
on
that's my last
statewide
wish,
boards.
Marcia, is someone, it don't have to be every one of them, but someone, stay involved with these associations. They have helped Franklin County so much. And when you think the times are so hard, when everybody's hammering down your back and you don't know which way to turn, those associations are in there just like you are. They need, you share something together. You know, so Marcia, thank you, and thank you.
Well, there's nothing wrong with being passionate about what you do.
Oh, I'm
Thank you.
passionate. I'm passionate, very passionate.
Thank you for those comments, Madam Clerk.
One more thing, speaking of thank yous, you guys got a thank you from Ms. Pam Vathis for the CDBG, how it helped her out. I'm sorry,
Oh.
Deborah is gone. I meant for her to be here when I did this, but.
That's from Pam?
Yes, ma'am, that's the second one you guys got from someone that benefited from that program. So, like we were saying, Mr. Chairman, how important these things are to the community.
They are important.
And that's the end of my report.
Yeah.
I got something.
Okay.
I'd like to, on this bid we putting out with Ralph Robinson and them, I would like to leave Mr. Ralph in there. He's working 4 people from Franklin County, 2's in my district. It works with him out of the office. You know, I'd like to leave it like it is.
Second.
I don't
I got-
think we
I
can do
got-
that, fellas.
I got a singer in my, they hang a singer in my district. And I'm always talking about people, I'm looking for people to work. I'm not gonna run nobody out.
Can we do that,
You have to ask the attorney about that.
attorney?
Let me make sure I know what we're talking about. You say leave it as.
Yeah, like let him continue being our audit till, instead of
Okay.
putting it out for bid.
I think the question now becomes, does the board have the authority to cancel? Because right now, the board's action has been to advertise a request for qualifications for auditing services at the hospital and
I'm gonna
auditing
move
services
the
for the
leave the
county.
hospital out of it, just for get another one for the hospital, just him do the courthouse and here.
Okay, so leave the hospital RFQ is what you're saying?
Yeah, out of it. Do one to do that out there and him just do this.
Okay, all right, I better understand the question now. I think the question is, can the board rescind or change its mind on moving forward with a request for qualifications for county auditing services, but leave the request for auditing services in the hospital in play? And as with all things, unless you're breaking a law that is within the board's discretion, I mean, certainly you're not breaking the law, you haven't even received the bids yet. I think the bids are scheduled to be received July the 6th, so that, I would say, is at the discretion of the board. If the board wants to rescind the RFQs for county auditing and leave the current service provider in place, that's at the discretion of the board, and you can do that.
Before we go into it, let me just say, just like this board did the transparency on the TDC, we need transparency throughout it. And that was the reason why I made a motion for transparency with the auditor and anybody else that comes to mind. You know, it was not to make people think that he wasn't doing a good, or the company was not doing a good enough job. It's we have not revisited their contract since 2012. You don't never know who's gonna put in a bid for it. And I believe in transparency. And, you know, just because, well, I'm not gonna go there.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Sanders, I think you're reading my mind, because as a commissioner, and I've been doing this the least of any of you here, transparency is something we do need to address in this county. And it's not just one vendor or two vendors or three vendors. I agree with you. I'm not for making one part transparent and the rest of it just keeps going on business as usual. I just think we owe the people of Franklin County the right to know that this board is doing their best to be as transparent as possible.
We do have a procedure here. We do have a motion and a second on the floor. The only way not to vote on that is to rescind the motion and rescind the second. If the bids come in on July the 6th, you would be addressing this at the next board meeting anyway? Is that
Okay.
correct? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think they're in the
You
agenda
would
to be
be-
open in the next meeting.
You would be opening the the deadline is July the 6th. The next meeting, which is what, July 16th, 17th?
17th.
You would then open the bids and send them to review to the audit committee. The audit committee is set by statute, which is all five of your constitutional officers or their representatives are on that audit committee, plus one county commissioner. I think Commissioner Jones is your representative on the audit committee, and then you have H.D. Cannington that I had recommended to you be a member of that board as well.
So my question is to Commissioner Massey, you made the motion after listening to the attorney and the concerns of the other two commissioners. Do you want to rescind that motion,
Yeah,
or do you
might
want
as
to
well,
let
yeah.
your motion stand?
I guess rescind it.
Commissioner Lockley, you made the second on that motion. Do you want to rescind your second and let it stand? All right, we got the motion rescinded and we got the second standing. Attorney, how do you deal with that?
Well, it's like legislation. It's sometimes not pretty to look at and it gets messy, but if the motion's been withdrawn, then the second becomes moot, so no
Okay.
action.
Okay. Is that correct, Commissioner Massey?
Yeah, 'cause they ain't gonna vote on, we're gonna vote on it at the next meeting. Okay.
So the motion has been rescinded, the second standing, as attorney said.
No, we don't get the.
Yeah, we'll get to vote on it.
No, we don't. We get to send them our,
The RFQs will go to the review committee.
Yeah.
And then when they come,
before us.
then when they come back, then the commission will have to make a motion one way or the other.
Yeah, the one way or the other, who we hire.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that fails for a lack of a,
Just a moot, it's a moot issue, move on. Next item
Move
on
on.
the agenda.
Michael, you had something else for the board?
No, I'm through. I was waiting for questions. I thought it was a question that Commissioner Massey had.
Does any of the board members have anything for Mr. Morone?
Good? Okay.
Next on the agenda would be Michael Schuler's county attorney report.
Commissioner, the last scheduled action item I have concerns a proposed contractual procedure I've sent to you for the, what they refer to as the ESF 15 function out at your county EOC department. Given the unprecedented monetary response for the fire in East Point, I have sent to you a proposed contract for the ESF 15 and the management, oversight, and accountability for those donations that are being sent in. I guess before I make the presentation, does the board have any questions for me about that or about that submittal? Okay. What I am proposing is that retroactive, and this is in a contract form, retroactive to June 24, 2018, all monetary donations received by your ESF 15 for the wildfire shall be deposited into a separate account as opposed to a general ledger. I'm not sure frankly how they've got it set up now. The current ESF 15 documents that I received from EOC are just, that they lack a lot of clarity and information. So those funds go into a separate account, and no other funds will be commingled with what we'll call the wildfire funds. I think that Franklin County, and my recommendation to you, should be named as an additional authorized signatory or account owner on that account. That all records relating to the ESF 15 be considered public records, including but not limited to the monetary and non-monetary donations for the wildfire recovery, and that is limited just to their public function as an ESF 15. I understand they have some other functions. those would not be public records. That written receipts for any cash donations shall be maintained, that these monetary donations from the wildfire will be regularly reported to the county. What I've proposed is that copies of the bank statement from the account that I've mentioned, as well as receipts for cash donations, as well as expenditures be sent to the county, that all of these monetary donations in wildfire be subject to the audit, that, and following up on a comment that was made earlier, that 100% of the monetary donations would go towards the relief for the wildfire victims from the Lime Rock Fire in East Point. Essentially, that means there would be no administrative funds or fees that would be deducted from these monetary donations. And that is pretty much the format that I had laid out. I did come up with that format in the consultation with your county auditing firm in terms of how they would recommend structuring this type of a process for accountability and oversight. But given, as Commissioner Sanders and those of you that were down at the FAC conference know, that there's been a statewide response from so many people that I feel in my heart that it's best that we put in place this procedure to make sure that the public trust is protected and there's accountability in this situation, because at the end of the day, these donations are being sent in because of this is a county designated entity, and therefore I think that you're going to be held potentially accountable by the public, and you need to be able to answer, as I have been told, every penny in and every penny out needs to be accounted for. So that's my recommendation to the board.
Pleasure of the board.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion? I have a little discussion here. Number one, I would like to publicly thank Franklin's Promise for being a part of ES 15 and providing this service to the community. But on the other hand, ES 15 is under the umbrella of the EOC. The EOC is under the umbrella of Franklin County. And there's been a lot of talk, a lot of money donated, and we appreciate everything that these surrounding communities have done for us, whether it was through the sheriff's GoFundMe page or whether it was through ES 15 under the direction of EMS. I mean, EMS, Emergency Operations Center, EOC. So I do want Joe and his organization to know that we do appreciate it. However, we do have to have transparency and we do have to have accountability. And there was some mention about, well, the sheriff don't have that accountability. That's wrong. The sheriff is audited just as any constitutional officer is, or any branch of government is. Just as we were just talking about auditing firms, and everybody's under audit. Every bank account the sheriff has over there is audited. We do see where the money comes in and we see where the money goes out. And that is public knowledge and it is public record. So I want to clarify some of the incorrect statements that I've seen and heard on, people tell me it's on Facebook. I don't Facebook, but I hear all about it. Those are false statements. Any constitutional officer is under these audit requirements, as well as this Board of County Commissioners and the hospital, which is owned by the county, and anything else that's run or owned by the county is under these. So I just want to make sure that we're not applying a double standard to anybody. Everybody has to account for the money. And these monies were brought in from local communities and charitable organizations, from businesses. I know Duke Energy gave $25,000 to help with the housing to assist these people. And there were many, many more. So that's just one example. And we do have to have accountability. So to say it's about this individual or that individual, it's not. It's about accountability to the public, as we're all held accountable.
That's
I
right.
got something.
So I just want to make that statement, and I feel like we're doing the right thing here. And if you're under the umbrella of the county, which the EOC is, then these are some of the accountability measures we have to take. Commissioner Mass, did you have something?
Commissioner first.
Commissioner
I just
Massey?
want to thank Joe for out there working. I've been out there. He's done a good job cooking and helping. I just want to thank you for that, helping them out there.
And Attorney, you had something?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, your comment actually There was one item in my report I forgot to really go over with the board publicly. I know I've talked to each one of you about this individually, but in terms of decision-making over these funds that are being received by the ESF 15, the ultimate decision maker on how those funds are managed and expended is Franklin County, because those funds are being received under the umbrella of the county. Now, of course, that's going to be in mutual consultation and communication with the ESF 15. I'm not sure who you want to designate as that person. I would suggest to you Mr. Morone, because he's the person most commonly in direct conflict or contact with each of the commissioners, but that's at the discretion of the board who you designate in that function.
Pleasure of the board.
We already have a motion and a second.
I'm trying to get a designation first.
You want to include this in this original motion?
Yes, if that's the will of the board.
Okay, so we want to include our county
I'll amend my motion to include Michael Malone be the contact person. And again, I would like to take the opportunity to state, as we've already stated about other issues, transparency is the only thing we're after. It's not about this, that, or the other. It's about making sure at the end of the day, the public trust is that this board and this county is doing everything the right way. I don't think we need to wait till afterwards to get tagged with something. We need to go ahead and head it off now. So I'm in my motion to reflect the attorney's recommendation of putting Mike Malone as the contact person.
And Mike Morone would be this co-signature, or is that what we're doing here?
That would
Yeah.
be my recommendation
Okay,
to the
okay.
board, but that's something we can,
Now for the checks, right? He got to sign the check. I mean, Michael got to be there. Can't no check be spent unless the Michael name on it too, right?
well, what I'm suggesting is that he be an authorized signatory on the account, and
Okay.
let there be some
Thank you.
conversation between Mr. Morone,
EOC.
EOC, and the ESF 15, and let them come back and, because I'm not sure how well a co-signature requirement could work in this situation. We've got a lot of oversight that's just been layered on top of this process, Commissioner Lockley. There's a lot of transparency, a lot of oversight here, but I'd say my recommendation would be to let those three entities talk and make that decision among themselves whether they want to have co-signatures or not. But certainly it's feasible, that's possible. A lot
Mr.
of
Jones,
businesses
you
do
made a
that.
motion? Did we have a second?
Yep, Mr. Noel made the
Mr.
second.
Noel,
Commissioner Lockley.
Commissioner Lockley, you made the second one
Yeah.
on that motion? So we do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
All right, and Commissioners, based on a conversation I had late yesterday afternoon, I'm going to do something that's rather unprecedented for me, which is to take an informational, non-action item and ask you to consider it here this morning. And I apologize, I've only had a chance to talk, not to all of you, but this concerns Mr. Mike Cooper. He's item number 4 on my report. It's an informational item, a non-action item. But I'm not saying that time is necessarily at the essence or of the essence, but I just want to bring this to your attention. If the board is willing to take action, then take action. Otherwise, we'll wait till the next meeting. But Mr. Cooper, looking at an email here from the hospital, his severance package is roughly $84,000. He's not been paid any of that severance package at this point, principally because of some requests that he had made that took time for TMH to come back and say, well, no, we're not going to administer the severance package. There was some discussion that he's had about wanting a lump sum payment. Frankly, lump sum payments should not be granted unless there's a discount provided to the county for a lump sum payment. But what I'm asking you to consider this morning is that right now the staff doesn't have any authority. I don't have any authority. Mr. Morone doesn't have any authority to go to the hospital and direct them to start paying the severance. So I'm just asking is for that authority to move forward, direct the hospital to begin that process of paying the severance that we're under contract to pay Mr. Cooper.
What he getting a servant for? He ain't done
That's part of his contract.
Yeah, that's just,
If we don't do it, then we're gonna be,
Well, and Mr. Chairman, I thought about this because I'm one of the ones that did talk to Mr. Shooter about this. And you have the two options. You have either taking it out of your healthcare tax or either out of the revenue of the hospital. I think we need to ask for it to come out of the revenue of the hospital instead of messing with that tax anymore.
and in doing that, then you have to look at the revenue of the hospital. Are they even able to pay a lump sum? these are things that the attorney needs to address.
know.
Yeah, but I don't, at this point, I just feel like I have the authority from the board to move beyond, you know.
So we need to
just give me-
authorize him to go to the hospital and get this ball rolling.
I mean, and if you see that the hospital's not, then you're gonna have to take, but what we said was we would do the monthly, monthly installment or something like that until we
That-
get them
that's what the
paid up.
contract- That's what the contract, I believe,
Yeah.
requires possibly.
So we need a motion from the board directing the attorney to address the issue.
I make a motion that we address the attorney, address the attorney. I make a motion that we, give the, attorney, orders to, go to the hospital, find out if they do have the money to pay it, on a monthly basis until Mr. Cooper is paid up on the installment. And if not, look at the healthcare tax after that.
We have a
That
mo-
also- That also would include moving forward and processing the payment
Yeah.
as well. And would
Yeah.
you include Mr. Morone on the motion? I mean, he's your administrator and the hospital board chairman. I
Oh,
think he and I
okay.
should work together on this one.
I make a motion for Mr. Morone then. We won't have to.
And the
where's he
attorney,
at?
and the
And the
attorney.
We're
I
wrapped up.
can't see you way down there, Michael.
And the attorney.
I think both of us need to be involved.
Okay.
Because there's been
Okay,
threats
both
of
of you.
litigation and things. of that
Michael
nature.
Morone and the attorney.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Massey.
Discussion.
Discussion.
Look him. Now, they need to take that out of that contract. We pay them people, and we pay them good. Now we got to pay him, he going home, and he ain't done that. If he'd have done something, if he'd have done the job, he'd have been there. We wouldn't have to be him with that. So that part of this, talking about, he get a bonus, he getting paid to go home. That don't make no sense. Two things they need to take out of this is getting them travel money to come home, come here, and getting them money
To go out.
to go out.
Go out on.
The only thing is, Mr. Lockley, because I kicked up a fuss, the only thing is when this board hired, when the hospital board hired Mr. Cooper, that was part of the contract.
Well, we got the,
And I'd rather not pay him, but.
yeah.
It will not be part of a future, but let's go back and examine how that happened. You remember this, we were led to have the understanding was how the hospital board and TMH said things had to be structured. This was industry standard, this is just like standard operating. I mean, this is the same thing that's gone on for the last couple of administrators.
Well, it time
We
for it.
found out, I
We
think
didn't
it
find out he
was
was en route, when we found out he was en route here for the job, we didn't even know it.
We didn't
Well,
know
we've
it.
also had some direct communications with Mr. Morone now as the hospital board chairman on your behalf. He's had direct communications with TMH, and we've since learned that, no, this is not standard operating. This is in fact the opposite of standard industry protocol. So believe me, this is never gonna happen again. We've got better communication with Mr. Morone as the
It
hospital
didn't
board
happen
chairman.
before, and it will never
Well,
happen
before we
again.
go, I made the motion, so I'm gonna go and ask this question, and you can answer me, and if it answers one way, I'm gonna rescind my motion. Are we bound to that?
Commissioner, I think that we are. I mean, we're going to spend a lot of money fighting to try and get out of a contract that was created by your hospital board, recommended to you in the structure that it came to you in, with a recommendation for approval, and you accepted it.
That's
I mean,
right.
we created the contract.
I
So,
know.
This was
We're
Jim
pretty much
Backrack.
bound.
Like I said, we have a new hospital board chairman.
I know.
We're pretty much obligated, so we
Well, we
can't
are
go back,
obligated.
we can only go forward, and we
Yeah.
need to.
Okay, my motion stands then.
We did have a second?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
Well, I'm gonna make a motion to take all that other stuff out. The bringing them in money, to my paying, you paying them all that money and you got to pay them to come in. And then when you let them go cause they ain't doing their job, they still get paid.
I agree with you.
That's a bunch of crap. They'd have wanted their job, they'd have done their job, and they'd have had their check coming.
It's
That
the
don't make
second
sense.
time.
Yeah.
It's the second
It
time
ain't
this
this
has happened
second
to us.
time, I can go way
Oh, yeah,
back.
you
which
can.
I'm-
I'm talking about for me sitting here.
I make a motion, we take that out of the contract.
You don't have at the moment, Commissioner, you don't have you have an interim
Well,
CEO.
don't be in the next one.
Yeah, it won't be.
Yeah, about-
We'll negotiate the next one.
No, it won't.
It won't.
From now on, not only for the next CEO, CFO or whatever, who all contract they got. I'm talking about for life. That's what I'm-
Commissioner Lockley, let's do it this way. Make a motion that any future contract for CFO or CEO for the hospital has to be approved by this board.
Yeah.
Well,
And then you'll see what's in there, and you can take out what you wanna take
Yeah.
out, or put in what you wanna put in.
I will be drafting the next contract. No, other people drafted this contract. I'll be drafting your next contract.
All right.
Well, we good then, right?
Yeah, well, I take my motion back. I trust Mike.
Mike, you got anything else for the board?
Just to say that I'll endorse fully the comments of Madam Clerk concerning Commissioner Sanders.
Oh, I appreciate it, Mike.
Any board members have anything for the attorney?
Yes, sir, I do. Mr. Schuler.
Yes, ma'am.
We had something very important happen last week with the Supreme Court.
Yes, ma'am.
Give us the updated version real quick, real fast about. You can do
Okay,
it. You can do
Florida
it.
won.
Florida won. On what?
Okay, this is the, I was being very brief, as instructed.
very brief.
And the U.S. Supreme Court, the state of Florida, filed a original petition several years ago against the state of Georgia. The subject matter of the litigation was trying to get more water out of Georgia down into the Apalachicola River system and into the Apalachicola Bay. The U.S. Supreme Court appointed a special master who held a hearing on a threshold issue of standing, essentially. After a hearing, the special master ruled against the state of Florida, essentially said we had failed to meet our threshold requirement and that we should essentially be thrown out of court. That's a very important procedural ruling that was adverse to Florida at the time, because if we lose that issue, Florida's out. Okay, we're just done. That is our last opportunity and our last venue, and we had been told Florida loses by the special master. The state of Florida took that special master's recommendation back to the Supreme Court. They held arguments and convinced the Supreme Court that in fact the special master had erred, that the state of Florida had in fact met its threshold of standing, and that it had provided sufficient information to show to the court the possibility that they could fashion a remedy to get more water downstream, and that the benefit downstream would outweigh the harm of taking water from upstream. So we're still in the game. The special master has not rescheduled a hearing. So that's the long answer. The short answer is Florida wins.
It is. I mean, it's a big decision. I mean, we were so happy when we heard it down there, wasn't we?
Yes.
I mean, we was, because we've been waiting on that.
Commissioner, thank you for the opportunity to make that public. I've been thinking about it. I'd left that out of my report.
Well, it's a big thing, and it affects all of us in this area. So I thank you for bringing it up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to do that.
Any other comments for the attorney from the board members? Next on the agenda is commissioner comments. Any commissioner comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I have one I want to share with the board that maybe you might know or you might have heard it, but, and I know this because I serve on the East Point Water Board. During this fire event we had in East Point, our main station is on Twin Lakes Road, which is close to where this fire happened. We have two wells. One's on Patty Lane, which is further toward Appalachia, further to the west. Back to the east, we actually have a well at the end of Buck Street, where this fire originated. During this fire event, we lost that well. It went down. It's salvageable, but during the event, it was not working. What's important about that is our two wells are both calibrated at 640 gallons a minute. That's their max. During this entire fire event, where they fought for at least 8 hours to maintain this blaze, our station metered off 1,500 gallons an hour without any problems off of one well. I just want to make you guys aware of that, because I consider that to be a miraculous event that prevented more loss of homes and backed up what was going on by all of our volunteers during this effort. I just wanted to make you guys aware of that.
And in addition, Commissioner Bailey thanked me himself, because if it wasn't for this board signing off on a CDBG project years ago, that probably wouldn't have happened,
Yeah.
Commissioner.
Any other commissioner comments? Meeting adjourned.